Check 1, 2. Check, check, check.
We do
What I tell you. So I told you guys
to respond to the death of those
I need to come on here and clean up Fox News and ABC and every other mainstream media outlet who don't know what the heck they're talking about.
And days, as we've been reporting and anticipating. But those initial explosions on the ground in Syria, the first reports of them, they were not caused by U.S. warplanes or U.S. missiles.
Go to my Facebook page.
That is
what
a
did I
revision
say?
From what sources were telling me about 30 minutes ago. So we are still watching, and there are, as Mike Tobin has been reporting, there are explosions. There does appear to be damage at some of these very sites that the U.S. military has been watching, and which were likely targets of the U.S. military, given the decision by the president to carry out a campaign against the Iranian proxies that are believed to be responsible for the death of the Americans. But those initial explosions, I'm being told now, were not caused by U.S. airstrikes. Neil.
So who was responsible?
Israel.
For those explosions?
Israel.
That is the golden question.
Yeah.
And I think we won't know these initial minutes and hours when there's something
I
like
can come in
this,
here and tell all of you
when
what is
have
going on.
Multiple militaries involved, multiple armed forces involved,
These
proxy groups
people,
on the
I'll tell you
ground.
what, man.
It would be speculation at this point to say what caused those explosions.
Give me a second, let me hear.
But I am being told by U.S. military officials that it was not U.S. airstrikes that caused those.
Okay, so we're going to keep this on right here. Let me go here. Okay, so what's going on here is if you go to my Facebook page, I clearly came on there and I knew the news was starting to break. I know ABC jumped on it and Fox did. And I said, wait a minute. I said, they're wrong. They're wrong. So I said, I better get on the air because this stuff's going to start going. I even interacted on my pages. These people are wrong. So now they're walking back. ABC has walked back, and now Fox News has just witnessed with me has walked back as well. Here's what I can tell you. There have been airstrikes. This is true. Now, what looks like what is going on right now, all right? It looks like, now, what's her name? Jennifer Griffin or whatever her name is. She's an idiot. And she's, in my opinion, she's a CIA asset. But there are strikes going on. It is Israel from the sources that I use. Now, I'm going to use a word that I don't like to use, but I have sources, okay? I never use that word because it makes me look like an egomaniac or one of those idiot people out there who claim to be a truther. But anyways, the sources that I am looking at right now, and they're very credible, coming out of the Middle East, who are in the Middle East, they are, and I better get this going here as well. Let me go to, I'm not going to bring this on screen, but okay. So I'm looking at a feed now, and what I can tell you, it was Israel, from my understanding, okay? The explosions did occur on the Syrian and Iraq border. It looks like they hit some preliminary targets, okay? Preliminary reports tell us they hit some certain targets. Now, here's the interesting thing, and this is why the confusion is going on at Fox News and ABC and the mainstream media right now. So if you turn on your televisions, I don't know if ABC is broadcasting it now or CBS. Fox is carrying it, obviously. So they're sitting there with an itchy trigger finger to break in and go live with this. The reason they're sitting there now, I'm guessing. I'm totally guessing. I've done this for a long time. They're sitting there with an itchy trigger finger to go breaking news and break into your regular scheduled programming because they have been told it is coming today. I believe that now because of them jumping ahead of the gun that they know it's coming, but they all jumped ahead too soon. All right, so it is coming. It may be underway as we speak now. Since I've come on the air, I'm going to double check here, but they were wrong. Now, here's the thing. All right. Here's a very interesting thing, and could be quite concerning. If this was Israel, which it looks to be as it was, all right, Israel apparently seems to be, from the reports that I am reading, they are paving the way for the Americans. So you're talking about, most likely, I'm jumping the gun way ahead here. Most likely a joint coalition with the United States and Israel, but there's a but, okay? I don't think that they will make that public. Okay? I don't see that happening. I'll be quite surprised at this point if they say they're working with the Israelis in this. But I can tell you, Israel did start this paving the way, okay, of the airstrikes shortly ago. Now, you just heard Jennifer, I think that's her name, isn't it her name? The one talking now, the one that looks like, never mind. Hold on, let's go to her. Hold on, let me hear what she's saying.
Just moments ago.
And we don't know for sure, to your point, that a widely suspected attack is on now, or we'll get maybe confirmation of it later. But thank you for clarifying all of that.
Okay, so they don't know what the hell they're talking about. All right. Again, they don't know what they're talking about. With all humility, I have great confidence in my work. I know what I'm talking about. All right. And I rely on other people. So I'm going to check with those sources right now. We're going to keep that on the screen because the reason I'm going to keep Fox on the screen is because we're going to see what happens when it breaks. I don't know what other mainstream media sources are telling you. So let me go and let me look at some stuff here right now. Again, and the thing is, I don't believe they will tell you that the United States is working with Israel. I did hear earlier today that the UK has decided not to be a part of this joint operation with the Americans. Okay. Bear with me. I'm reading. I'm trying to keep you up to date here. Okay. I'm very careful here for me to say American. I'm going to share this one on my Telegram. I'm looking at Carly. She wrote fog of war. That means she's sharing exactly what I am. That Fox News doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. And it's amazing that independent journalists out here know way more what is going on, especially those who are really deep into following what's going on in around the world with the war and in the Middle East right now, or with Ukraine and Russia and everywhere, which I love. I absolutely follow this stuff so much. Okay. So if you're just joining, what I can tell you 3 minutes ago, hold on. Okay, bear with me. Just sorry for the gap of this is part of what's going on. Me doing this live. I was not going to come on live right away until I got real concrete information. But when I saw the mainstream media jumping on everything, I'm like, I better put a stop to this. It's still a little premature to tell. Okay, here's what's going on. There are airstrikes going on. No question about that. In Syria and in Iraq. Now, the BBC now, on a credible source now, the first round of U.S. airstrikes in Syria and Iraq have begun. This is according to the BBC. I don't know what the BBC is reporting. I am only going by what I know ABC and Fox News has been reporting, and I knew they were wrong. But again, just because they were wrong, they were really just premature. So that means they know this is coming. It's about to happen, most likely as I'm on the air here. And the reason I'm on the air is because I know we've done one round of attacks already, and we did a joint coalition with the UK. This one comes just after, hours after, shortly after. And may they, God rest their soul, may they rest in peace, the 3 American soldiers who have come home to be laid to rest. And now the campaign begins. And now that's not surprising to me whatsoever. That makes complete sense. I wanted to get the soldiers home first. There's been a lot ongoing about, we've been, or not we, I don't want to be a part of that. The administration, the Pentagon, the Biden administration. Well, Biden doesn't know what the hell's going on. I'm blowing up over here. They've been telegraphing this, okay, and I gotta admit, I'm kind of surprised too. And the other thing I can tell you that the Telegraph, it's been what, 5 days? I think it is 5 days. All right, so 5 days has been telling us the one thing that's concerning to me, if we waited this long, is I think we're about to witness a big strike here today. Okay, so I'm going to stay on the air here. I'm going to monitor things. Again, even though I got the Fox News feed going and I've proven them wrong, you can go to my page, just look at my timestamps when I put stuff out there. And then Fox News happened to walk it back when I came live on the air. And I was right. And I say that not from my ego. I say that because of my credibility. There are a lot of new people who follow me. I want you to know that I do know what I'm talking about and I do know what I'm doing over here. This is why I take great pride in what I do, and I take it very seriously. And in the middle of all this, I like making fun of them. It gives me great joy. All right. So let's see here. My advice to you, if you're listening, stick around, stay with me. I'm not going to really be able to do too much like a regular podcast to take your comments and things because I'm monitoring real breaking news timelines here. Okay, so now I'll try and grab this. All right, so I can grab this picture. So the Iranians now are getting involved. It looks like the Iranian resistance now, after total silence, just put up a picture. I don't know where, all right, because we're moving fast here, showing its missiles aimed towards U.S. military bases in the UAE. All right, I'll be able to put this up here. Let me upload this here. Hold on a minute. Put an overlay. And okay. So somewhere on social media right now, we'll probably connected to their official sites, I would assume. This is gone up. So, well, what can I say? I mean, I don't know what to say. I see this quite often. All right. So we'll see what happens here. So I don't know if that's an Iranian resistance. So one of the proxies, I would assume. All right. Let's see. Again, if you're just joining, I don't know what I'm going to report. I'm reporting breaking news right now. It looks like we are on the verge of the retaliatory airstrikes from the United States. And the mainstream media jumped on it too quickly. I knew they were wrong. And I knew it was Israel. Israel has hit targets in Syria on the borders of Iraq. So I got that, like I said, right now, the big one I'm seeing right now is the BBC's reporting. We'll see, which is interesting because I think the UK is not involved with this, but we don't know that. I mean, how am I supposed to know that? I mean, this is intelligence that the average person isn't going to know, and I am the average person. So, and this is how we put the puzzle pieces together here. Sources from eastern Syria have denied all the published news about the start of the U.S. aggression against parts of the Syrian army and allied forces in eastern Syria. These sources are also confirmed that no attack was recorded on the cities of El Bakal and Mayadeen. So I'm still a lot is happening right now. So I can tell you this: there is confusion going on. No question about that. No question about that. There's confusion going on. Okay. Yes. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to take a moment and go to your questions. I see what you're saying. A lot of people are saying that. I'm telling you right now, I am sitting back and not going to say that the U.S. has struck yet. All right. It looks like it's imminent. That's why I went on my Facebook page and I put a couple posts up and I said, this is not happening. This is not true. But it's pretty much imminent. Okay. For Fox and for ABC to jump on means they know something. All right. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Man, I tell you what, I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. Let's go to Fox. Let me go to Fox.
As our Jennifer Griffin has just stated that these strikes have begun. To Jennifer Griffin now at the Pentagon. Jennifer.
Neil, it's been a bit confusing over here this
No
afternoon
kidding.
here at the Pentagon, but I do want to clarify. We can now report that U.S. strikes in both Syria and Iraq at spots
Okay.
at locations in both of those countries have begun. That is official from 2 U.S. defense officials. Earlier, when we were talking about some of those initial explosions in Syria, there is still some confusion about which military carried out those initial strikes. But we can say that what we have been expecting all afternoon and for days now, frankly, is that the U.S. campaign led by U.S. Central Command, which will involve, we're told, air assets as well as sea assets, as well as space assets. This is going to be a multi-tiered campaign.
Nice.
It's going to last days. It's going to strike multiple targets. I'm told upwards of a dozen to 2 dozen targets in Syria and Iraq, targeting those Iranian proxy forces, the bases where they store the rockets, the drones, the command and control, and that is what they're going to be focusing on. We reported earlier today that the U.S. had B-1B Lancer bombers that had been deployed to the region from bases in the UK. Those B-1B bombers I would expect to be involved. That is the Air Force's, it carries the largest conventional payload. They will be involved. You can expect that that there will be Tomahawks involved. You have a submarine, the USS Florida, that is in the region. It has 150 Tomahawks on board, as well as the U.S. Eisenhower. You have an air component with F-35s, F-16s, F-15s in the region, F-18s. This is going to be a complex, multi-layered attack, and it is designed to send a very, very strong and serious message, I'm told, to Tehran, as well as to the proxy forces on the ground, Neil.
Maybe I'm just slow at the take, Jennifer. That, by the way, is an understatement. But I know these attacks have begun and the targets are in Iraq and Syria, but there was an initial battery of strikes.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if that wasn't us or that was just wrong. Who was it?
No, there were strikes and there
Israel.
were explosions on the ground in Syria.
Okay.
And because of the timing, because we had been expecting, and some of and U.S. defense officials who are some of our best sources knew when the U.S. campaign was going to begin. And it was coincidence that it happened at about the same time, just minutes apart. Those initial explosions, we will at some point know what caused it, who caused it, but we can now say that U.S. strikes have begun in both Syria and Iraq, and the targets are multiple, I'm told. They are going to focus on Iranian proxy groups, the same proxy groups that have been threatening U.S. troops and U.S. bases across Iraq and Syria 166 times since mid-October, killing those 3 Americans, injuring 41 Americans in the attack on Sunday, the drone that struck on the border between Syria and Jordan. But as we mentioned, Neil, this is a very complicated battle space with multiple militaries, with air forces, whether it's Israel, Jordan, Russia, Syria, now the U.S. It is a complicated battle space, and that is why CENTCOM has a plan, I'm told, that to try and thread the needle to send a very serious message without expanding this to a regional war.
You mentioned CENTCOM having a plan. Is that why it doesn't make an announcement that whatever we're doing today and these strikes, presumably, like you say, in Iraq and Syria, that's not the end?
All right. Well, first of all, I'm going to break in here and tell you that she just lied to you. All right. She just said to you that she used the word coincidence. I think that's what she said. I'd have to go back. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right. She used the word coincidence to say they don't know who did the strikes prior to the U.S. strikes, just before the U.S. strikes. I can tell you from initial reports and the sources that I use, it was Israel. And she's saying on national TV right now on American television that it's confusion and we don't know who it was and these things happen. They're full of shit. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They know exactly who that was. And you're talking about Israel and the United States, the two greatest intelligence agencies on earth. So they know exactly what's going on. And I'm going to give you my opinion right now. And I could be wrong, but I think that Israel and the United States are working together on this right now. And they're using the fog of war of what's going on. And this is a joint campaign. But they'll never tell you that in Western media. Never. But I'll tell you that. All right. So I'm going to go back and all right. So the New York Times now is reporting the United States has carried out a series of military strikes against Iran-backed militants in half a dozen sites in Iraq and Syria. So we're in Iraq and Syria. So we haven't gone, here's the key, we haven't gone on Iranian soil, which is very important right now. All right. Of course, these are all Iranian targets. These are proxies of Iran. These are the groups funded from Iran that we're targeting. I'm sure we're targeting them. We're targeting ammunition sites, all that, certain infrastructure, I would think as well. Let's see here. All right. Unfortunately, when I'm live, I don't have the opportunity to keep updating on all my platforms. But once I get off the air here, I will do that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna share. Let's go to Twitter screen. Okay, I'm gonna share this screen. Share this tab. I got it. Yeah. All right, we'll put that there. Let's go on here. We'll do this together. First place we're going to go is let's go to CENTCOM. I doubt if we're going to have an update because it's too early, but I'd still like to go to CENTCOM first and foremost, always. Okay. So there's no update from them at all. Last one was yesterday. So we'll probably get an update from U.S. Central Command later tonight, I would assume, after the whatever campaign, how long this campaign takes. Once it's over, and they'll update the public on that. All right. We'll go to USAF right now, which is United States Air Force. I can't believe I'm not following them. Why am I not following them? Probably because I always just go there. So nothing. Yeah, you're not going to get nothing. But I would expect to hear from CENTCOM first and foremost. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking. All right. There we go. Iranian resistance now after total silence. That's what I said before, showing its missiles. What do we got here? Statement by the leader of the Ernie Back group. I can't confirm this. I'm reading this right now. I don't know who this is. So, yeah, Gaza. Okay. I don't think that's anything to. All right. So, again, let me go here. So now so they're all jumping on now from what I'm seeing, BBC, CNN, Reuters, all of them. So the entire mainstream media is not reporting this. So what I'm getting right now, it says, source in eastern Syria has confirmed that across the western bank of the Euphrates River, many Iranian militants' outposts are being targeted. So like I said, that makes sense. Now, according to this, the Pentagon has said the Pentagon has put out a statement. All they said was U.S. Airstrikes have begun, and they put it on a time of 4 p.m. So 4 p.m. Eastern, that officially the airstrikes have begun. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stay on for a little bit here. Again, go back here. Let's see what they're saying.
Given every one of these terrorist proxy groups training, financing, operational capability, and weapons to be able to conduct the kinds of attacks that they're doing.
And we know that. We have said that,
Iran-
right, Commander? So I guess what I'm saying is he can talk all he wants about, what his country does and doesn't do, how much sway it has over its proxies or doesn't have. Fact of the matter is we tie all of this to him, to Iran. And that doesn't change.
Absolutely, right? Neil. And we should. Let's face it, as I've said before on your show, your enemy gets a vote on whether they're at war with you. Iran has essentially been fighting a proxy war with the United States, and in some ways directly, since 1979. And it has resulted in the deaths of hundreds of Americans in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and around the world. And the problem you have is that no administration to date, both Republican and Democrat, have been willing to solve the root problem, and that is Iran. And while a lot of people say we don't want to get involved in another Middle East war, we also have to look at how many service members or Americans are going to have to die before we are willing to adjust that root cause and begin to put the forces in place to be able to address it. Iran can say whatever they want. The bottom line is they are responsible for the actions of their groups that they have empowered and enabled. And in some ways, if you look on the other side of the world, keep an eye on North Korea, because China uses them in the same way that Iran uses their proxy groups. So it's not just here. There is a global dynamic in effect as well. And we need to make sure that we are able to respond to it. So we hold Iran accountable, because these groups would not exist and could not conduct these operations without the direct support that is coming from Iran.
So then the behavior has to change into the response to these counterattacks. We don't know much about the nature of the attacks and how many have been cited, Commander.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go. I want to check a couple things. Bear with me. I want to hear talking points.
Members are now in progress. They're being conducted against
CBS
what I'm told
News.
are about a half a dozen locations in both Iraq and Syria. And the planes involved include 2 B-1 bombers, which is an intercontinental bomber, which is capable of carrying up to 75,000 pounds of bombs. So these could be fairly extensive strikes. Christina was talking about waiting to conduct this strike until senior Iranians had time to get out of the country or go to hiding inside the country. The military has been kind of perplexed by the degree to which the administration has telegraphed these strikes, because of course you give these leaders warning, and they're going to act to save themselves, either by getting out of the country or getting in locations where they are surrounded by women and children. So if these strikes are successful and they destroy the locations they're going after, then the theory is that when these leaders come out of hiding, determined to resume their attacks against American troop locations, they're not going to come back to much, because the locations will have been hit by these airstrikes. This is the first airstrike. We expect more. I don't know that this airstrike is yet completed. I don't know that planes are out of Iraq and Syrian airspace yet, but we expect at least one more day of airstrikes. And of course, the targets in those subsequent airstrikes will probably depend on what happens on the ground in the aftermath of this first wave of airstrikes. That's, I think, the way to think of it. This is the first wave of strikes.
And David, both Christina and Margaret a moment ago mentioned these are IRGC targets. And I wonder if you could just break down for our viewers, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is what that stands for. Who are they? What is the connection to the actual Iranian government?
Well, they are a power unto themselves in the Iranian hierarchy, and they are probably the most hardline faction in the government. The way to think of them is roughly equivalent to our CIA. They conduct overseas covert operations, and in this case, their overseas covert operations are support for these militias in Iraq and Syria, and for the Houthis in Yemen.
I know, you're tired of me telling you to
sorry.
download Opera GX, but you just gotta.
Don't want that. Okay. All right. So the lower third down there is mine, where it says confirmation both Israel and U.S. carried out airstrikes in eastern Syria. The media is not going to report that for you. All right. Let me grab this again. Let me share the screen. We'll go back to Fox. Let me make sure I get that. Okay. They're not gonna show that. So let me do this. I'd like to talk about what we can possibly look for and or expect. Let me grab this banner. All right. We'll take that down. We'll go to your comments too. If you have any questions or anything. Strange, my Fox News is not saying anything about it. Let me put something on here. I couldn't even tell you, as you all know, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I couldn't even tell you, all right, what goes on in my neck of the woods. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on locally in my community, but I can tell you what's going on around the world. I don't watch local news. And for you to sit there and wait for your local news station to say something, you're better off watching paint dry. All right. So let me take one more look here and I'll give you my breakdown of what we can look for. All right. Sources say that the missiles are coming in waves, flying at low altitude, indicating that U.S. cruise missiles are being used. Okay. Targets in cities in western Iraq are being targeted as we speak. Sirens are now going off at the Conoco and Al-Amar oil fields controlled by the United States. Interesting. That's from Aquila on Telegram. And there's many more sources that I use on Telegram. Telegram is one of the best sources, if you know who to follow, to get this type of information. Okay, so the question. So what I'm putting together some pieces here. Now I'm hearing some reports that we're looking at. It's somewhat underwhelming right now. I didn't expect to come on here and at all to come on to George Bush's shock and awe campaign. All right, for those that remember that, the shock and awe campaign was quite a spectacle to see and witness. With Iraq. So I don't think we're going to push it like that. When the Pentagon came out and they said, so let's talk about this. They came out and they said, we're going to have an extensive campaign that's going to last over several days. I'm hearing weeks. Okay. I'm hearing weeks. So what that means, they're going to be precise, coordinated. Obviously, everything is going to be pretty much precise, coordinated targets. I never anticipated us going inside of Iran, because I think if we went inside of Iran right now, we risk starting World War III. Okay. So if the Americans, the United States is going to if we go from right now, it's 4:39 p.m. Eastern here on the East Coast in the U.S. And then maybe in a couple hours, 2-3 hours, we hear the campaign is now over. We'll hear from the public. I mean, we should hear. I mean, technically, if it was Trump, we'd have we'd have a statement from President Trump later tonight to the American people. We've had a few by now. I don't see Biden making an announcement at all. Not that I need to hear from him whatsoever. I think they're going to be precise on their targets. They're going to target all these proxy groups and go from there. See, here's the deal, folks. There is a lot going on, and there is a lot on the line right now. Because you have to understand that with these proxies funded by Iran, obviously, and which are all over from Syria to Iraq to Lebanon, we have to be super careful about that because you've got Russia and China, all right, who are going to be in Iran's corner. No question about that. They're monitoring this very closely right now. We also have to anticipate what Iran is going to do. Now, you have to understand, Iran has already struck, okay? It wasn't just the proxies. It was Iran itself who took responsibility. So, and we're not going in Iran, which I don't think we should. Well, put it this way. I don't think we should underneath this leadership right now. It'd be a whole different ball game. I'd be saying different things right now if we were under President Trump, but we're not. It's not about just an airstrike by the United States right now. It's about what happens later this evening. Okay. What happens with Iran in their response. So there is a lot of tension going on right now in the Middle East. The tension, you can cut it with a knife. To see the responses from to hear not just that after this is over with shortly in a few hours probably to hear from the international community. That is key. So we need, once I hear from the international community what people like from what Russia might say, what China might say, I could probably tell you right now at this stage of the campaign, they'll probably, in all likelihood, they'll say that we don't want to see war outbreak. We want this to de-escalate right now. So they'll be firm about de-escalate, which politically they should. But we have to pay close attention to these little things. I'll post, what I'll do is I'm always conscious of my posts on social media, mostly on Facebook right now. I'll post many things after this is over as we go into the next coming days from other world leaders and the language that they use. I think that's very critical right now. It's the language that they use that we need to really pay attention to, which will help you gain an understanding of probably where we're exactly at. Now, I came on the air and I proved to you that Fox was wrong. I came on the air on purpose to say Fox is wrong. And they admitted they were wrong. So is ABC, from my understanding. And they're lying to you. I can tell you right now that Fox is lying to you because when that, I think it's Jennifer Griffin. Again, I think that's her name. She came out and said they didn't know where the other airstrikes came from. I came out and said it's Israel. All right. And you could take that to the bank. But I don't think they're ever going to tell you that. I'll be quite shocked and taken back if they admit that. All right. They could say it was Israel. We didn't know, which that's a lie. That's a complete lie. And that's what Fox said. And that's what she said on Fox, that, you know, there's so much going on. We didn't realize, we kind of crossed paths. We didn't know they were going to attack as we were on our way. That is such a lie. I mean, they take us for imbeciles. So, but they're lying to you. They are absolutely lying to you. I know you're following me, but follow the sources that you trust. All right. especially the ones who've created themselves a reputation of being consistently correct. Does that make sense? Being consistent about what they're talking about, especially in this subject matter right now, talking about war, talking about conflict, talking about geopolitics, talking about global conflict and what is happening right now. This is something that my most of my life I've been so heavily involved in watching these things and paying attention to language and everything. I could call these things. It's like I could call these things before they happen. You know, the only thing that I was quite surprised about, which I was a little concerned about, was the delay that the United States was taking in their response after the Americans were killed. That was quite interesting to me. Obviously, they waited. We saw today, you know, I posted the Americans that came home, and thanked them, and also may they rest in peace, and thank them. I thank them for their brave service, and to all military personnel out there. I kind of had a feeling that once I saw the three soldiers, their bodies come home, I'm like, okay, now I would guess with the 5-day delay, be ready for something to happen. I've been ready every night, but no, it made sense. Let's go to Fox for a minute. I'm going to go to Fox audio right now for you as I go and look at some things and gather some intel. All right. Stand by.
B-1B bombers flew from the United States to take part in these airstrikes, which began exactly at 4 p.m. Eastern. While you and I were on the air speaking, those B-1B bombers were targeting those sites in both Syria and Iraq. We now have that statement from U.S. Central Command. They say that 85 targets were targeted. I'm told that's across 6 to 7 locations in Syria and Iraq. And what's interesting about these strikes, and of course, when you pull in the B-1B Lancer bomber, that's the Air Force's carries the largest conventional payload. They were looking at underground bunkers, underground storage facilities where many of these ballistic missiles and drones have been kept. I'm told that they were command and control centers, headquarters used by these Iranian proxy groups at these bases in Syria and Iraq. But it is notable, and we have not seen before the B-1B bombers used to strike in Syria and Iraq for as long as I can remember. Certainly, we expected some Tomahawks from the U.S. naval assets that are in the region, but this is a significant, I think, flexing of air power for those flights, those B-1B bombers coming all the way from the United States. Neil.
No, Jennifer, I've raised this with you before, and I told the great reticence, and you told me the great anxiety over extending, you know, an attack against Iranian proxies and with attacks on Iran itself, that was never considered, is still never considered, for fear that this leads to a world war. I was mentioning Ben Crenshaw, the former Navy SEAL, now Texas congressman, who says, that's our problem. We so fear widening a war that it widens regardless because we fear widening the war. What do you make of that?
Well, I wouldn't say that it was never considered to strike inside Iran. That certainly was one of the options that was put on the table. What I would say that based on conversations I've had, that in these initial phases of this multi-tiered campaign, if you will, that U.S. Central Command has offered to the White House and has been signed off by the president, that Iran and targets inside Iran are not going to be a part of this current campaign. Does that mean that it's off the table for good? Not clear. It is clear that the Pentagon and the White House and the U.S. would like Iran to get the message without having to strike inside Iran or having to take out assets that they might care about, for instance, ships or spy ships that they have in the Red Sea that are helping the Houthis target American warships and ships passing through the Red Sea. But this is a situation, and the problem that you face when it comes to war and campaigns like this is that there's an escalatory ladder. And the idea now is to strike hard, to strike at a number of targets that it is painful enough for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps that they stop these attacks and that Iran gets the message without having to strike inside Iran.
Jennifer, thank you. We'll be going back to you, no doubt.
Okay.
Former CENTCOM.
So, all right. So let's go to CENTCOM. I checked. They said they did post. They did. When I checked, it was 41 seconds ago. Let's share this tab. All right. So let's go here. And there it is. It says, let me enlarge that. Okay. All right. So there we go. CENTCOM statement on U.S. strikes in Iraq and Syria at 4 p.m. Eastern today, February 2nd. U.S. Central Command forces conducted airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. Quds Force and affiliated militia groups, U.S. military forces struck more than 85 targets with numerous aircraft to include long-range bombers flown from the United States, B-1, I would assume. The airstrikes employed more than 125 precision munitions. The facilities that were struck included command and control operation centers, intelligence centers, rockets, missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicle storages, and the logistics and munition supply chain facilities of militia groups and their IRGC sponsors who facilitated attacks against U.S. and coalition forces. So there it is. Exactly what I did pretty much predict, and what I said they would probably be hitting their targets. So there are the targets right there. Again, let's do this. We'll go back here. Let me bring myself back up. I don't see anything else. Update. Let me refresh this tab. Just make sure that's the only statement by CENTCOM. Yeah, that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay. So they've already put out a statement. They said they hit, 85 targets. For them to put out a statement now, that means that was a pretty quick campaign. I'm going to take a quick look here on, and then I'm going to give you my my 17 thoughts. Okay. Let me share some of these real quick. All right. So, and then I'm going to get off the air here. I'm going to let everybody carry on with their day. I'm going to go ahead and collect all the information that I can while not being on the air, and post the information that you need to see. Okay. So that's what's going on. So from what I'm seeing and what we just read together is that it looks like this particular one is over. It could happen again. Now, the most important thing is, like I said, I'm going to go to your comments too. The most important thing is, I was saying it before they said it on Fox, is that we have to watch what happens now going on for the rest of the night. Okay. We have to watch the response. We have to listen to the international community. We have to listen to presidents, political figures from around the entire globe, the language that they use. Here's the thing. If you take yourself, now this is the 17 thing. I have to say 17 because I'm broadcasting right now to YouTube, and they will just shut me down if I start saying certain things. Okay. I'm broadcasting to Rumble and YouTube right now and Facebook. If you go back to the 17 drops, okay, in the biggest statement, it said, can China and Russia and POTUS work together to eliminate the New World Order? It's clear as day. Look where we're at right now. We are in February of 2024, the year, and the final year to most of all this madness, the final year, because we enter hopefully a presidential election, the man that they're trying to stop, because the so-called New World Order knows that they can't allow that man to get in, and they can't risk turning over power. Here's why they can't risk turning over power is because it's not like they're just going to say, well, we gave it our best shot. Better luck next time. We'll get them next time. There is no next time. There is no next time. This is it. They have gone past, they've crossed their red line. They have approached their precipice like we are, and there's no turning back now. Expect anything. But that's why if you go back to the drops and you look at there's many things, and I'm not going to turn the show into that, but that's the one main thing. And of course, everybody always uses the symbolism of Vladimir Putin handing the soccer ball to Donald Trump. Think about what's going on right now in the world. All right. Everybody is on the world stage. Their militaries are involved. The U.S. is in the air. You got Ukraine, Russia. You got Israel, Palestine. Everybody's involved. China's just sitting there waiting to say go. It's happening. It is really happening. This is the bigger picture I look at. Okay. I look at that. This is the fog of war. This is the psyop. This is the part where, of course, President Trump has to come on during his rallies and say, and just paint the picture of fear and hell. Okay. That the United States has gone to crap. We're in the abyss. This is the worst we've ever been. Of course, that's very true, but he has to keep to that narrative. He's not going to be able to come out and say things that I'm talking about or that we talk about. He has to stick with that. He has to stick with it. It's so bad. We don't know what we're going to do. Make it sound all doom and gloom. We're at that point right now, folks. We are on, there's no question we are on the verge of World War III. But when I say we're on the verge of World War III, it's not like me trying. I know there's people at home listening to me right now, and they're saying, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I wouldn't go that far. All right. This is the part where, okay, I'll give you guys this much. When there's a nice handful of you, and I talk about this, so this is no secret, who talk about people who's dead, who's in Gitmo, who's wearing a mask. I don't do that. Okay. I'm not saying some may be true, some may not. There are things that I do question and that they do raise a red flag. All right. But I don't go down that road because one, it doesn't serve me any good, and it's not going to help me in my research in any way with the current events and the world events of what's going on. That's all stuff that's just kind of like more like, wishful thinking and who knows. But the road that I will go down is still sticking to those 17 drops, because they went out of their way in the beginning to label you insane. They talked about you being, they used the word MAGA extremists, and the other one, I can't say it because I'm streaming to YouTube right now. They used that word with that 17th letter, Anon. They made up that word, and they had put hit piece out after hit piece out, from HBO to Vice to CNN. They made documentaries. They put a lot of quality production time, dollars, money and man hours, and TV time. That's not cheap, and that takes a lot of work. And somebody's flipping the bill for all that. So I've always asked myself, why would they go to those lengths to try and discredit something that's just absolutely what they're saying is not true? Because they fear there's somebody who made those 17 drops that back then, years ago, were like, and then as time went on, I was like, okay, nothing came to pass. People didn't realize how this stuff works. All right. And then the online conspiracy stuff started. So they took the craziest people online, and there are some people who make us look bad. There's no question about that. They took the craziest people online, threw them in, and tied them in somehow with the 17 drops to label you insane. That was their way to smear this. I knew back then that if they're going to those lengths, there's something here. There's absolutely something here. Now look at the world. Look at the world stage right now tonight and what is going on. Go back to those drops. Look who, in a way, look who is working together. Look who is working together. Hang on. I just saw somebody in the comments. Video is surfacing now. Yeah, there's some video surfacing. It's really not much for me to put on here. I don't see anything. Just some distant. Hold on. All right, I can grab this video. I'll run some video for you. Let me grab it. Okay. I'm going to say, okay, visuals from earlier showing secondary explosions following U.S. strikes targeting IRGC-linked rocket warehouse in Iraq. So, and I do have confirmation right now. I was correct that since CENTCOM made that announcement, I figured it was over. U.S. strikes have ended for now. Okay. Aquila, who I'm on his page right now, I can now report that this has been the biggest attack on Iraq and Syrian oil since 2003. Okay. Here, I'll grab this video. Let me put this on. Grab this, and this is just shortly ago. And what it looks like to me, let's look at it together. Okay. And so I'm going to guess and say what we just watched is a target in Iraq. Okay, because that is going up into the air. I'm thinking they are trying to fire back on the U.S. Air Force. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're firing at the U.S. Air Force. Okay. So again, go back to your comments real quick. I'm going to read your comments right now, and I'll keep talking for those who care about my opinion. Again, if you're just joining real quick, you can see by the ticker at the bottom, the United States has struck. It was at 4 o'clock. It's only 5 o'clock. It was a short campaign. They hit strategic targets according to CENTCOM. They hit military ammunition, probably sites, proxy sites, and anybody connected to those proxy sites. It seems like they hit. So it's kind of like surgery right now, surgical procedure. Obviously, what the U.S. is doing, they are, again, testing the waters. They're saying this is going to go on. So right now, with this short campaign, they want to see the response. This is why on Fox, I'll be nice, that Jennifer Griffin, I think your name is, she said, we haven't gone into Iran. We don't want to go into Iran. I agree with that. But it doesn't mean it's off the table. And it's not necessarily on the table. It's just they're waiting right now. They're doing exactly what I'm doing with you, waiting for the response from the other side and the international community, for that matter. They not only do they want to see, besides what the Iran proxies are going to do, all right, they want to know what Putin is going to say, what Xi Jinping is going to say, what Saudi Arabia is going to say, and so on. Very important, very important. That's all critical. So we'll see. We'll find out. Things are coming together. If I had to say anything, the fog of war right now is that whole thing with 17, that what you're seeing on the surface, okay, is you got what's going on the surface right now with the war, all these countries involved, everybody, we're on edge. We don't know what's going to happen next. Okay. It's tense. It's the most tense I have ever seen it in my lifetime. Growing up, all of us we've been in, it seems like we're always at war with the Middle East, but I've never seen anything like I do today. So we're going to find out what's going to happen in the coming hours and the coming days. It's going to be an interesting weekend, for sure. No question about that. I will keep it completely updated. All right, let's go to some of your comments. Iran had already stated if we retaliated that they would hit us back again. So I'll be turning to your page. Oh, thanks. All night. Beginning of the so you can keep updated with me. I am going to go take a short break after this broadcast to go grab some dinner, and I'll get right back at it. But you can count on me. I provided them with weapons, technology, and other things. Correct, even with sea mines, ballistic, cruise, unmanned aerial vehicles. It's crazy. Yeah. And to bounce off of that comment right there, do not underestimate at all. I've seen some folks underestimate the proxies out there. Don't do that. Don't do that whatsoever. All right. So they're well funded. They're well funded. They right now you got to look at every puzzle piece. We're exhausting all of our resources in Ukraine. All right. But hold on a second. Let me do something. Grab. Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to block somebody in your comment section. One of those spammers. All right. There we go. We're the funding of Ukraine. We're exhausting our resources. I mean, they can only, and not just the U.S. and other countries, they can only make so much ammunition. I know, the UK, was saying they're going to make 1 million rounds a year. There's no way they're doing that. So you have to take into consideration those factors as well. There's so much to take into consideration. So we'll see. All right, let's go back to your comments. You're very welcome. Very welcome. Again, will this create fuel shortages? Okay, I'd like to kind of talk about that one. Not necessarily will create fuel shortages. Well, it all depends. It all depends on what's going to happen right now. But what I'd like to say is watch the water now. Okay. I've been pretty much convinced the past good almost year now. Well, let's go at half a year, that watch the water was originally I said, okay, is it Taiwan over there in China? But now, since October 7th, and what's been going on with Israel and Gaza and the intensity there in the Persian Gulf, and what's been going on with the ships, the commercial ships, the Navy vessels, I think that's the watch the water that we need to watch. As a matter of fact, I think we need to watch the water right now after this airstrike. Will they go back and attack U.S. Navy ships or commercial vessels for that matter? And attacking those commercial vessels out there is definitely a big no-no, put it that way. And it falls under what I mean, maybe I got the language wrong here, international crimes, committed. And something like that could set things off. As a matter of fact, I said there were two things I did not want to see. I did not want to see tonight. I said this almost 5 days ago. I said this behind the screen here, behind the scenes. I said I did not want to see U.S. go in Iran at all. Don't do that. Okay, we don't want that to happen. At least not right now, for sure. And the other thing I said, do not attack any Iranian vessels out there in that water right now, because I think that could just trigger an avalanche of bad things. So got to keep an eye on things out there. Watch the water for sure. Yes, I agree, I totally. And I just don't want people to side with me because, you follow me. I think we're just on the same page. Like, watch the water we are at that point. Okay. It is the water is out there. That water right there can, whew, it could get really bad really quick, and it can cause not only World War III, we could be walking right into what I like to call is the Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0, and which I find us to be walking into a nuclear standoff. I do. I just don't see World War III being fought like World War I and World War II. That's just how I feel strongly. I just don't see it. Okay. What role did Israel play into this? Well, it's too early for me to say, but I did come on the air here and I did debunk Fox on my Facebook page. I said, and ABC, I said, no, they're wrong. I said, they're saying the U.S. started it, launch campaign. I said, no, this is not true. And I said, this is Israel. Israel started the air campaign tonight. Prior to 4 p.m., according to CENTCOM, 4 p.m., the United States started their campaign. Just prior to 4 p.m., which was more like around, I remember it was like around, just after 3 o'clock, and reports started trickling in of airstrikes. And it was nothing big, but the airstrikes on the border of Syria and Iraq. So, and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't mean it's the U.S. When I saw those reports coming in, I'm like, I got to take a step back. I'm not even going to post this on my social media. I'm just going to watch things unfold. And that was my position that I took. And then once I took that position and I was monitoring everything, that's when I saw Fox and ABC breaking in all over the place. And I'm like, no, this isn't true. As a matter of fact, some really good sources on Telegram started saying the same thing. The American media is lying. This is not true. It's Israel that's attacking right now. Again, you're never going to get that on American television. You're never going to get that in Western media. They're not going to say it. And if they do say it, they're going to say, oh, it was an accident. Israel was targeting something during their campaign, and we didn't know. That's the dumbest thing that they could possibly say. So that's just try and take my word for it. All right. Just listen to the news, watch what they say. And they may never say who it was. All right. Who knows what they're going to say, but I cannot for the life of me saying they did a campaign with Israel. It's just not going to happen. So, all right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get off the air. I'm going to go. The campaign is over. I didn't know how long I was going to last. I will continue to do this. I won't break in every single time. I wasn't even going to break in, but like I said, when I saw Fox and the mainstream media and ABC jump in and start saying lies, I'm like, oh, I got to get on the air. So again, you've heard my broadcast, you've heard my take. Allow things that I've said to pretty much come to pass still. There's a few things that I've said. We're going to have to wait in the coming hours, a couple days, and go back and look at this, say, well, I was probably right. And I say that with humility because I say that with confidence, really, because I take this stuff very seriously. And I can't stand when they're lying to you because I couldn't stand when I was so much younger and I still got heavily into this, monitoring these world events and the talking points when we went to war and what the media was saying and what was truth from fiction. I used to get so irked about it. And now I have a platform to where I'm like, good, I can come on here and I have a microphone and an audience and I can tell them the truth because they're being lied to. So anyways, all right, I'm out of here. I'll be back. I'm going to go check things out. I will update you on social media. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And anytime, like I said, I will always, always, always break in live when I find it to be critical to do so. I will post this weekend. I don't know what the weekend holds, all right, with continued airstrikes, what the response in the international community is going to be. But if I can do a podcast right now, I can tell you right now, we'll aim for Sunday night because we'll do a wrap up since this campaign has started. Okay. If we can aim for Sunday night, I'll post that and we'll probably do like 8 o'clock on Sunday night and we'll do like an hour and a half wrap up show. All right. All right, guys. I will talk to you later.